Marvel fans, assemble! Get ready for the ultimate MCU showdown. We're embarking on an epic quest to determine the greatest film in the Infinity Saga. That's right, we're taking on all 23 films, from Iron Man to Avengers Endgame, in a bracket-style tournament. This isn't just a simple ranking. It's a battle for cinematic glory. Each film will go head-to-head, facing intense scrutiny and passionate debate. Here's how we'll break it down. Round 1, scene, line, and action with a personal touch. We'll dive deep into each film, dissecting its most unforgettable scenes, powerful lines, and adrenaline-pumping action sequences. We'll share our personal connections, nostalgic memories, and what truly makes these moments stand out. Round 2, that's the final verdict. Our esteemed judge, Gemini, will weigh the evidence, consider the arguments, and declare a winner for each matchup. Prepare for shocking upsets, nail-biting decisions, and a journey through the most iconic moments of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Only one film will emerge victorious, claiming the title of the best in the Infinity Saga. This is the ultimate test. This is the Infinity Gauntlet of movie debates. Let the tournament begin! Okay, Burn, this is our new tournament. It's the MCU Infinity Saga tournament. There was 23 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Infinity Saga. We've ranked them 1 to 23, which gave us 11 matchups in the first round, with one movie getting a bye to the second round. I bet you couldn't guess the movie that got a bye to the second round.
Thor 2?
Incorrect. It's Avengers Endgame. Got a bye to the first match of the second round. So that gives us rankings 2 through 23 in the first round, which gave us 11 matchups. So tonight, the 3 matchups that we will be going over, we'll be going over first, the number 2 ranked film, Avengers Infinity War, versus the number 23 ranked film, The Incredible Hulk. Then we're going to go to the middle of the bracket. We're going to do the number 7th ranked Captain America Civil War versus the number 18 ranked Captain America the First Avenger. And then we'll finish this one off with the number 12 ranked Spider-Man Far From Home going against the number 13th ranked Black Panther. We'll start off with the tail of the tape, then we'll go into round 1, then we'll go into round 2, and we'll move on to the next matchup until all 3 matchups are done. But Burn, before we can get started with round 1 of the first matchup, which is Infinity War versus the Incredible Hulk, do you know what we have to do?
Maddie, I'm thinking we might have to do the tail of the tape.
All right, let's get ready for Clash of Titans. Here's the tail of the tape for Avengers Infinity War and The Incredible Hulk from 2008. Here we go. Release date, Avengers Infinity War release date, April 27th, 2018. Incredible Hulk's release date was July 13th, 2008. Runtime, Avengers Infinity War runtime, 2 hours and 29 minutes. Where The Incredible Hulk's runtime, 1 hour and 52 minutes. The film budget, for Avengers Infinity War, it says it's an estimated $321 to $400 million film budget, where The Incredible Hulk's film budget was $150 million. Opening weekend box office gross. The Incredible Hulk's opening weekend box office gross, we're looking at $55.4 million. Opening weekend box office gross for Avengers Infinity War, $257.7 million. Yeah. Worldwide box office gross for The Incredible Hulk was $264.8 million. Not bad for that movie. Worldwide box office gross for Avengers Infinity War, $2.048 billion dollars. Billion with a B, daddy. And then the directors for this movie, the directors for Avengers Infinity War were Anthony and Joe Russo, and then the director for The Incredible Hulk was Louis Leterrier.
Yeah.
Louis Leterrier. All right, Burn. Well, that does it for the tail of the tape. We're going to head on to round 1 for the first matchup, Avengers Infinity War versus The Incredible Hulk. Round 1, fight! All right, In this round, Bern and I will each take on a movie. They're not our personal favorites. We're just gonna, speak up for them, and we're gonna go over the best scene, the best line, and the best action sequence from these movies. Bern, would you like to begin?
Sure, I'll kick it off hard with the number 23 ranked film according to the ranking systems that Maddie and I use, which just so you guys know is an aggregation of a lot of respected internet rating systems that already exist. So we didn't just pull Rotten Tomatoes. We put a lot of good ones together and we tried to figure it out best we could.
Yeah.
That being said, that's the good news. The bad news is the Incredible Hulk. I really liked this movie when it came out. It came out right after Iron Man. I thought Ed Norton was pretty good. I was starting to get excited about the whole Marvel universe in general. Growing up, always a DC Comics fan, never a super Marvel guy. And the Avengers were kind of lame. So after the Iron Man movie, I was like, oh, this is an interesting twist. I'm kind of interested in this. This movie, while plagued by problems, including the star of the movie, Ed Norton, having to be recast as Mark Ruffalo going forward in this universe. It created a lot of characters that exist to this day, including General Thunderbolt Ross, Abomination, the Master. Here's what it boils down to. This was a fun one. It's before they had their footing. I think for me, the funniest line in the entire movie, and probably the best line of the movie, is when Liv Tyler's Betsy Ross is trying to convince him to get into a subway, and then Norton says, "Me in a metal tube, deep underground, with hundreds of people in the most aggressive city in the world," referring to New York. It's a pretty good line. The best scene, I think, in the film is early on, before he becomes, well, before the first time we see the Hulk, when he emerges in the bottling plant in Brazil. He's in the shadows. He's huge. He's looming. He's an entity. Military guys are scared. Brazilian punks are scared. He's doing things no one could ever imagine. And I think the best action sequence in the film is the battle at the college when they pump it full of gas. You see the shadow of the Hulk come out, and then he has to fight tanks and Humvees and a really juiced up Tim Roth. And who doesn't like a really juiced up Tim Roth? The Incredible Hulk, not one of Marvel's finest, but not nearly as bad as a lot of people say it is. I'm pro Incredible Hulk.
Is that your time, Danny?
It's my time.
All right, not bad, Burn, but I could put my nuts on your chin real quick if you'd like.
We're not versus Matt. We're
Oh
just
yeah,
sticking
you're
up for
right. We're
movies.
just we're just we're just putting out the facts. We're just
Yeah,
you know what? Gemini's nuts are on our chin because we're his mouthpiece, right?
that's correct. That's great. If there's
We're
any
their
nuts on
mouthpiece,
any
right?
chin, yeah, them, they, however, Gemini, both of you,
Mm-hmm.
one of you, all of you,
Yep.
we'll call you whatever you want.
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go. Well, let's break down some of the most memorable elements of Avengers Infinity War. Let's talk about the best scene. This is highly debatable as Infinity War is packed with epic moments. However, a strong contender for best scene is the battle on Titan between Thanos and the combined forces of Iron Man, Spider Man, Doctor Strange, and the Guardians of the Galaxy. This scene is a masterclass in choreography and visual effects. It showcases the diverse powers of fighting styles of the heroes, while also highlighting Thanos' overwhelming strength and strategic brilliance. The scene is also emotionally charged, filled with tension and suspense as the heroes desperately try to prevent Thanos from acquiring the Time Stone. There's a lot of stuff happening on Titan. This is where eventually Spider-Man will have his super emotional scene where he bites it. I mean, if you didn't cry when he did that, you are a black-hearted son of a bitch. Then also, when Peter finds out that he killed Gamora, and he's like, "You asshole!" Oh, great stuff. Great stuff. Also, you saw Mantis getting like I always had wondered like what would you even do with Mantis? Then you use her like oh she can put people to sleep and do it like she's valuable in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
So got her in there very good. But no, it really showcased like Thanos as an actual great threat. That's what it was meant to do. Then let's go over the best line again. Many lines in this movie are iconic, like the ones I just mentioned. Like, I don't want to die. I'm sorry. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Like, dude, if you're not crying, shut your fucking mouth, right? But many lines in this movie, dude. One of the best lines too is when Thor's like, only if it kills me. And then Dinklage's like, yeah, that's what dying means,
Yeah.
right? But many iconic lines in this movie, but one that stands out for its chilling delivery and thematic weight is Thanos' line is, dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same, and now it's here. Or should I say, I am. Whew! That line perfectly encapsulates Thanos' belief in his own inevitability and his role as the universe's savior. It's a line that establishes him as a formidable and terrifying villain, driven by a twisted sense of purpose. And then let's go over the best fight scene. Again, the best fight scene, the clash on Titan between Iron Man, Spider Man, Doctor Strange, and the Guardians of the Galaxy against Thanos stands out. This sequence showcases a dynamic blend of unique power, strategic teamwork, and high stakes tension. The varied combat styles, the use of the environment, and the sheer desperation of the hero's attempts to subdue Thanos make it a visually stunning and narratively compelling spectacle. Also, I mean, the fight scene in Wakanda was really good, right? When Thor showed up and started wrecking house was great. Even the fight scene in New York was awesome. But the opening fight scene too, where he kills Loki, right? Beats the piss out of the Hulk, puts Thor in his place, right? Like that was just like awesome. Dude, the other I mean, then the scene too where like when they're at nowhere, right? And Peter's supposed to kill Gamora, like oh god, just so packed with awesome action sequences, like really good stuff.
There's
What?
there's one line I think you missed. And I only say this because I recently learned that it was an ad lib.
Okay.
It is the where's Gamora? Who's Gamora? And then Dave Batista's jump in of what is Gamora? Or or why is Gamora?
Why is Gamora?
Why
Yeah.
is Gamora? Um, I read something the other day that was like Batista just threw that in and just ruined filming for like
Oh,
45 minutes because they
oh,
were
I
like, well,
bet
we
the
have to
place
keep
went
that,
up.
but no one was expecting it, and
Dude,
we got to try
he had
this like
another
seven more
great little
times.
Dude, he had another great little side one-liner where when they were like, "What do you?" When I think it was Iron Man was like, "What do you two do exactly?" And Mantis was like, "Take names and kick ass and kick names." And then Batista just goes, "Yeah, that's right." You know, I just love that scene. It was great. It's hilarious, right?
Yeah,
But either way, that's my time. Nuts on your chin. Let's keep it moving and let's get a verdict for the first ever match of the first ever MCU Infinity Saga tournament. Here we go. Love it, like it or love it. Want more of it. That's the end of round one. Let's head on to round two. Round two, fight! All right, here we go. Round two. We're getting the verdict. All right, we're going to go over what film is better, Avengers Infinity War or The Incredible Hulk 2008. And we asked AI, said, hey, Gemini, can you please let us know what movie's better? And this is what they said. They said thus. They said, this is a classic apples and oranges situation in the MCU. Very true. Both Avengers Infinity War and The Incredible Hulk serve different purposes and have distinct strengths. However, if I had to choose which movie I think is better in terms of overall cinematic achievement and impact, I'd lean towards Avengers Infinity War. And here's why. Scale and scope. Avengers Infinity War is an unprecedented cinematic event. True. It successfully weaves together numerous storylines and characters from across the MCU, culminating in a massive and epic conflict. The Incredible Hulk, with a solid film, which, while a solid film, is more contained in its scope. Narrative impact. Infinity War was a profound impact on the MCU narrative. Its events have lasting consequences and set the stage for Avengers Endgame. The Incredible Hulk, while contributing to the overall universe, doesn't have the same level of narrative weight. The critical acclaim, Infinity War, generally received more positive reviews and generated more buzz than Incredible Hulk. Very true. And then it says, while The Incredible Hulk 2008 is an important part of the MCU and has its fans, Avengers Infinity War is more ambitious, impactful, and ultimately more successful film in terms of its overall cinematic achievement. Very true, Burn. I would agree with this. This is why we kind of thought this was going to be a shoe-in. So, moving on to the second round, the first film, Avengers Infinity War. We kind of saw this one coming, Burn, are you ready to move on to the next matchup?
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
And listen, Incredible Hulk. I really enjoyed you, but you never really stood a chance here.
No, 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 no. And we knew it, but hey, everyone take. Hey, you never know though. You don't
You
know
do
what
the work.
Gemini's
You got
gonna
to do the
say,
work. You got to do the work.
right? Gotta do the
Got to
work.
do the work.
Hey man, you gotta earn it. You want to get to the top of the mountain, you gotta earn it. So let's keep it moving. So first movie, moving on to the second round of the first ever MCU Infinity Saga tournament is the one and only Avengers Infinity War. But let's keep it moving. Burn. We're gonna go to the second matchup tonight. We have, for your viewing pleasure, we have the number 7th ranked Captain America Civil War versus the
Ooh,
number 18 ranked Captain America First Avenger. We got a cap on cap action, Daddy. Cap on cap.
early in the tourney for some cap on cap action, but I guess it was going to come up
That's
no matter what. So
yeah, burn. That's not cap.
no
All
cap,
right,
son.
here we go. All right, but burn. Before we can get into round one for this, do you know what we have to do?
The tail of the tape.
That's right, Daddy. All right, let's get ready for a Star Spangled Showdown. Here's the tail of the tape for Captain America Civil War versus Captain America the First Avenger. All right, here we go. So, release date Captain America First Avengers release date July 22nd, 2011. Captain America Civil War release date May 6th, 2016. This was so it's that's the first one. So they released 3 Captain America movies in 5 years. Pretty good.
Yeah, not
Runtime.
bad.
Yeah, runtime. We're looking at Captain America First Avenger runtime 2 hours and 4 minutes. Where Captain America Civil War 2 hours and 27 minutes. So kind of close. Then we're looking at film budget for Captain America the First Avenger. It's $140 million estimated. Captain America Civil War, it was $250 million estimated. Opening weekend box office gross. Captain America First Avenger opening weekend box office gross $65.1 million. They really publicized this. Like Chris Evans was really getting a big shot here. You know, people were like, "Okay, what's the deal?" And it really was just like, "This is how we're starting out. We're building the story. Like this is what we're doing." Like they really made you aware of what they were doing. And then the opening weekend box office gross for Captain America Civil War, which was the third installment of this, which came out, 5 years later, is 179.1 million. So they almost tripled their original box office in 5 years in the third movie, right? Then we're going to the worldwide box office gross. So for Captain America the First Avenger, worldwide box office gross 370.6 million. Really good for First Avenger. Really good, right? Because the Avengers hadn't come out yet. Like Iron Man was a hit, Thor did okay, but Phase 1 wasn't like the powerhouse people think it was. When it got to Avengers, eventually it would be, but they had the first Iron Man was probably the biggest hit before Avengers, right? And then because they didn't get Guardians yet, like they still had a bunch like left on the table. They had the Hulk, which did okay, and then for Captain America: Civil War, worldwide box office gross, you're gonna get used to seeing this B word, Daddy, 1.153 billion. And then we're looking at the directors. We had Joe Johnston was the director for First Avenger, and then Civil War was the Russo brothers again, Anthony and Joe Russo. So that's the tail of the tape for Captain America Civil War versus Captain America the First Avenger. Burn, are you ready to head to the first round?
Let's do it, baby.
All right, round one, fight! Okay, so in this round again, Burn and I will be giving you the best scene, the best line, and the best action sequence, and then we're going to put a little nostalgic on it. Burn, since you went first for the last one, would you like me to drop nuts on the first one?
That sounds perfect, Manny. Absolutely perfect.
All right, we'll start my clock. Here we go. Let's break down some of the most impactful elements from Captain America Civil War. Let's talk about the best scene. So, the most iconic and arguably the best scene in Captain America Civil War is the airport battle sequence. This scene is a spectacle of superhero action pitting the Avengers against each other in a visually stunning and creative choreographed clash. Fuck me. It's not just an action scene. It's a showcase of the film's central conflict. The fight highlights an ideologic divide between Captain America and Iron Man, as well as a personal relationship and loyalties that are strained by the Sokovia Accords. The scene also introduces Spider Man to the MCU in a memorable way and features Ant Man's epic transformation into Giant Man. So, this is also, let's talk about this. Like, now that we've been through the whole thing, people, before this happened, there was always like, who would win? Who would win in this fight? And who would win in this fight? So, they really answered a lot of questions of like, who beats who would win in this, who's the real alpha, which I really like that they did that. And how they did it was awesome, right? And then the best line. There are many powerful and memorable lines in Civil War, but one that stands out for its emotional weight and the thematic significance is I remember all of them. This line is spoken by Bucky Barnes to Tony Stark during the climactic confrontation when Tony asks Bucky if he remembers killing his parents. Oh, it's a heartbreaking line that underscores the tragedy of Bucky's situation, highlighting the extent of his manipulation and his pain he endured. The line also fuels the conflict between Captain America and Iron Man, making their final battle all the more personal and devastating. And then looking at the best action sequence. I mean, I'll tell you, dude, that really added to this. When you see the car, like when you see Bucky pull up to the car, bro,
And just kind of punch it off the road to start things
bro,
off. Like he just punches
it
the
was.
car
I
off the
was
road.
like, oh my god, dude, so good. Cause like Bucky coming back in Winter Soldier was awesome, awesome how they did that. And it's to punch it up to be like, oh, there's even more to this. I loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. And then we're looking at the best action sequence. So while the airport battle is a grand spectacle, the final battle between Captain America, Iron Man, and Bucky Barnes holds the most emotional weight and is arguably the best action scene in the film. Man, this is a brutal and personal, like driven by Tony Stark. This fight is like brutal and personal, driven by Tony Stark's rage and the complex relationship between the three characters. It's not just about superpowers; it's about betrayal, loyalty, and the consequences of the characters' choices. The choreography and intensity of the fight convey the emotional turmoil and the physical toll that the conflict takes on the characters, right? Captain America Civil War excels in its ability to balance action with character development and emotional depth, and these elements work together to create a truly compelling cinematic experience. I remember in the trailer they were showing the scene where they're passing the shield back and forth and whooping
Hmm.
up. Oh my god. I just remember seeing like this is gonna be incredible. And it was. It absolutely was. Didn't miss at all. Loved every second of it. Captain America Civil War is great. That's again nuts on everybody's chin. Burn, go ahead. That's my time. Take it away.
Thank you, Maddie. You can start my time now.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, Captain America Civil War. The one thing about it is, I don't know why it wasn't called Avengers Civil War because that's what the comic line was, and that's kind of what the movie followed. But this is like the sneaky one that sneaks into the Captain America world. Now it makes sense because of Cap and because of Buck. I had to start somewhere different. I had to start way back in the day with old CGI skinny Steve Rogers, old sticks and bones. But I will say what I think is important about the first Avenger is it lays so many building blocks for what this universe is eventually going to become.
Yeah.
Uh, my favorite scene in the movie takes place about halfway through after Bucky's been rescued, and he and Steve are at the bar, and they're in their sweet suits. Peg walks in, doesn't even look at Bucky. Bucky runs a little game at her. She doesn't see him. Runs a little more game at her, and just him realizing for the first time, like, oh my god, my nerdy, tiny little best friend is now shredded, and I'm never gonna get laid again. I can't go out with this guy anymore. He was my wingman, and now like I got to cancel him. We have iconic lines that are delivered in this movie, including the first ever "I can do this all day,"
Yeah.
uttered by a young, skinny Steve Rogers with a garbage can in his hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think my personal favorite line from the movie is when Tommy Lee Jones throws a grenade on the ground and Steve's the only one who jumps on it. And he
Yeah.
leans over to Peg and says, "He's still skinny." But I think the best line in the film, and something that will kind of give you the arrow that points Steve Rogers' character through the rest of his time in this cinematic universe, is at the very end of the film when he wakes up. He realizes the Dodgers game that he's listening to happened years before. He busts out, he runs out of the building, he finds himself in Times Square. The world has changed, everything has changed. Sam Jackson pulls up and says, "What's the rush?" And he says, "I had a date." We get who Steve Rogers is. He's a man of his word. And I think that's important for laying the building blocks. My favorite action sequence in the entire film is after that nasty Kraut kills Stanley Tucci, who we all love Stanley Tucci.
Love the Tooch.
And there's the chase down through the streets, running barefoot after the taxi cab, using the taxi cab door for the shield for the first time. Maybe the greatest hostage ever when that German dude throws the kid in the water and he goes to save him. The kid's like, "No, I'm cool. I can swim. Go get the Nazi." Uh, Jives in the water, pulls the guy out of the submarine, throws him on deck. The guy eats the cyanide pill. For me, I know we didn't mention Red Skull at all, but that is my favorite action sequence. I like the smaller stuff. I like the Steve Rogers street level. I like getting to know the guy and getting to see what kind of dude he was before he had the big rip muscles. Then after, that's my time.
Yeah. Dude, also loved when you got when also in Infinity War when you saw Red Skull come back. I was like, "Oh, this
Insane.
guy." I was like,
Insane,
"What a
right?
mic drop." Yeah. So,
And you're like,
love it,
good, that
love
guy
it.
sucked. That guy was an asshole. I'm glad he's
Total.
banished to some planet with a stupid robe on.
Yeah. Oh,
Not a
you
Sean
wanted to be
Archie,
in love
that's
with
for
this
sure.
stone? Here you go. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's Elron. That's what he's been doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Burn, that's the end. That does it for round one. You ready to head on to round two?
Let's see what they have to say.
All right, round two. Fight! Okay, Burn, so here we go. We're going to ask AI. I said, "Hello, Gemini. You please tell us what movie you think is better. Is it Captain America Civil War or Captain America the First Avenger?" And here we go. This is what AI says. She says, they say thus. They say, "This is a classic origin story versus epic conflict debate. Both Captain America Civil War and Captain America the First Avenger are strong entries in the MCU, but they offer very different experiences. They say, if I had to choose which movie I think is better overall, I'd probably lean towards Captain America Civil War. And here's why. Narrative complexity. Civil War presents a more complex and morally ambiguous story. It delves into the consequences of superhero actions and the political implications of their existence, creating a compelling internal conflict with the Avengers. Character development. Civil War pushes the characters, particularly Captain America and Iron Man, to their limits, forcing them to confront their beliefs and make difficult choices. This leads to a significant character development and a more emotionally resonant story. And then scale and impact. Civil War has a larger scale and a greater impact on the overall MCU narrative. Its events have lasting consequences and set the stage for subsequent films. However, Captain America First Avenger is a fantastic origin story that establishes Steve Rogers' character and his unwavering values. It's a more straightforward and classic superhero film, which is also very enjoyable. Ultimately, the better film depends on what you're looking for. If you want a more complex and emotionally challenging story, the significant character development, Civil War is the way to go. If you want a classic, inspiring superhero origin story, First Avengers is your gimmick. But Captain America Civil War is Gemini's choice. And the winner of the second match of the first ever Marvel Cinematic Universe's Infinity Saga tournament. So, moving on to the second round, we're looking at Captain America Civil War Burn. That does it for the second matchup. Are you ready to head to the last matchup of the first ever tournament or last matchup of tonight's first battle, whatever. You ready to head to the last fucking matchup
Let
of
me
tonight?
let me wrap this up for you real quick, guys. There's going to end up being 12 movies in the second round. Endgame got the first round bye. It's already
Yep.
there. It has since been
Yep.
joined by Infinity War and
Yep.
Captain America Civil War. We will be
Yep.
adding the fourth movie out of these 12 right now.
Yeah. Here we go. So let's keep it moving. So the next battle we got, it's Spider-Man Far From Home versus Black Panther. I want to get into round one, Burn. I really, really do. But you know what we got to do before we get into round one?
The tale of the tape.
That's right, Daddy. Here we go. So, okay, let's get ready for a superhero showdown. Here's the tale of the tape for Spider-Man Far From Home and Black Panther. So, Spider-Man Far or release date. Spider-Man Far From Home's release date, July 2nd, 2019. Black Panther's release date, February 16th, 2018. Runtime. Spider-Man Far From Home, we're looking at 2 hours and 9 minutes, while Black Panther, 2 hours and 14, so very close. Film budget, we're looking at an estimated $160 million film budget for Spider-Man Far From Home and $200 million film budget for Black Panther. Opening weekend box office gross. So it says in the first 6 days, Spider-Man Far From Home made 185.1 million. They made 92.6 million in the first 3 days. And then in the first 3 days for Black Panther, they made 202 million. In the first 4 days, they made 242.2 million, right? Then
Yeah.
we're looking at overall. I mean, dude, if you're Feige, get
Jesus
the rake
Christ,
out,
man.
babe.
Oh my
Get the
God.
rake. Yeah. And then worldwide box office gross. Spider-Man Far From Home, 1.132 billion. Black Panther, 1.347 billion. Dude, get the
Wow.
rake, Feige, right?
So wait, just to give you guys an idea of what's going on here, right? This is the 12 versus 13 matchup,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're both billion-dollar films.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
Marvel does it. And what were they?
Yeah.
They were like 0.1 billion off. What was it? 1.2, 1.3, something. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah. One
insane
was
amounts of money.
1.1, one was 1.3. Yeah. Crazy.
Woo!
Crazy. Dude, this all happened within a year and a half, too. Like, you know what
That's
I mean?
insane.
Not to mention Ragnarok came out at this time, too, and Civil War, which are all billion-dollar getters.
That's
So,
stupid.
yeah, directors. So, Far From Home, Spider-Man Far From Home is directed by John Watts, which I don't know if he did anymore in the MCU. And then Black Panther was directed by Ryan Coogler, which I don't think he didn't do the second one, did he?
Um, no, wait.
The second
I
Panther.
think hasn't John Watts done this all the Spider-Mans and Coog's done all the Black Panthers? I don't.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking out of my ass. But that's it for the tail of the tape, Burn. You ready to head to round one?
Yeah, let's. Yeah, let me just. Sorry, I got distracted. Let's head to round one.
Round one. Right. All right, Burn. You went first the first time. I went first the second time. What would you like to do for the third time?
Let's just keep flip flopping. I'll go first.
All right, Daddy. Knock your dick out.
Black Panther. What an incredible film. Like Maddie said, $200 million its first weekend. It was a cultural phenomenon. It
Yep.
brought a really interesting DC character to, or I'm sorry, Marvel character to fully fleshed out life. We met T'Challa in Civil War, and he was awesome in that. So people were already kind of chomping at the bit of like, man, he was super cool. He chased down a motorcycle.
Yeah.
He fought a car. Like this guy is a super badass and
Yeah.
the character who would be important in the story going forward. But we got to see maybe, and unfortunately, the true heart and soul of Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther in this standalone film. My favorite scene in the movie, and it's not close, is the first challenge between T'Challa and M'Baku. The first time we get to Wakanda on the waterfalls, in the pool, all the different tribes, all the different colors, all the different songs. Like and surprise, surprise, cracker ass Pennsylvania Burn has never seen anything like that before in my entire life. It was so vibrant. It was so cool. It was so fun. And then they had a super badass fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best action sequence in the film, and there's a couple you can pick from, including the opening scene at the casino, but I really do think it is Chadwick Boseman and Michael B. Jordan as T'Challa, the Black Panther versus Killmonger in that crazy semi-magnetic vibranium tunnel at the end of the movie. Uh, this movie had a sympathetic villain, a villain who you were like, yeah, I get it, man. I get what you're trying to do. You're not that
Yeah.
wrong. And those are the kind of the best superhero movies when you can also kind of empathize with the villain and be like, yeah, if I was in your boat, I can't promise I won't be doing the exact same thing. Which is why I feel like the line that I'm going to say is the best line from this movie. I have been a comic book reader my entire life, and there is nothing cooler than a great death line, especially from a villain who you think is kind of a dickhead, and then all of a sudden you realize wasn't. When Killmonger says, just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors who jumped from ships, you realize, goddamn, this is a cultural moment. This dude meant it in his core. Maybe he wasn't such a bad guy.
Yeah.
That's my Black Panther time. I could talk about Black Panther for 2 hours, but that's all I got.
Yeah, it really was like you really got across that like all Killmonger wanted was for the betterment of the black race.
His
That's really
just
that's
what he
his
thought
overall
his
like his
people
main motive was
deserved.
like, yeah, you killed my dad, but I just wanted black people to be on top. Like this is
Yeah.
bullshit. You
And we
know,
could. We got
we
all this
very well
technology.
easily could.
We can do
Yeah,
this.
yeah. He's not, I mean, it's tough to, yeah. Tough, but dude, I mean, the one line I hated though that he did is when he's introduced to like the court and he says, "Hey, auntie,"
Hey, auntie.
to
Yeah.
Angela Bassett, and then the one line I love is when M'Baku's like, "I'm kidding, we're vegetarian."
Yeah. That
Fucking dying.
was actually on my list because of course they paint like they're supposed to be the most brutal, mountain tribe that no
Yeah.
one ever met. They don't interact at all, and they paint themselves like insane, like skeletal
hmm
gorillas and just
hmm
bark
And
and
they're all
yell at people,
massive
and they're
dudes.
all
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
They have a nice little garden up there.
Yeah. Winston Duke really, I mean, he blew up from this film.
I
He
love
became
when.
like a he became like a sexual icon too,
Well,
But
listen,
good.
also like the cast, like this is Daniel Kaluuya at his hottest, but like man, Winston Duke stole the show from me. I love M'Baku. The more they can do,
He's
whatever
awesome.
they want to throw M'Baku in and anything in
Yeah.
the MCU going forward, I say give
M'Baku.
me more M'Baku, give me more Winston Duke.
Yeah. Love it. I would love a spin-off of like, how they're doing Thunderbolts now. Because, technically M'Baku was a villain at the beginning of the film, but now
Uh,
then became a total face and was a
got some good
face
news for you,
going
Matt.
forward.
Got some good news. They're doing a Wakanda show.
Really?
Yeah, they're doing a
Oh,
Wakanda show, and
love that.
Duke's gonna be a big part of it.
The Wakanda Forever was such a letdown too. I was so mad. It wasn't as good.
Uh, they fucked up the Namor stuff a little bit. I
Yeah.
feel like we
He
probably didn't like that movie for different reasons, but it
I
was a
mean,
little
she
silly.
did whatever. Yeah, but also like Namor is supposed to be. I don't know. Whatever. We're getting off track.
The first
So
mutant,
very
yeah.
very good burn. Let me get back to it. Are you ready?
I'm ready, baby.
All right, well, here we go. So, all right, let's break down some key elements of Spider Man Far From Home. Best scene. A strong contender for the best scene in Spider Man Far From Home is the climactic battle between Spider Man and Mysterio in London. This scene is visually stunning, showcases Mysterio's mastery of illusions and Spider Man's growth as a hero. It's a turning point in the film where Peter Parker fully embraces his responsibilities and overcomes his fear. The scene is also emotionally charged as it deals with the themes of trust, deception, and the legacy of Tony Stark. Very much so. This was the first film after Endgame, too, right? So, like, you have, like, them going back to high school after, like, all that stuff, which was fine. This one was good, but or what is it? What's the one they do? The third one they
The
do?
Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home.
No Way Home was, I mean, blew the dick off people. But let's keep it moving. Best line from this movie. I'm choosing the best line is subjective, but a memorable and impactful line is often something that speaks to the film's themes or a character's development. In Far From Home, several lines contribute to the story's emotional core and humor. It could be something poignant about Peter's struggle with Tony Stark or the legacy of a witty exchange between Peter and his friends. For example, some of the lines like that explore Peter's insecurities and stepping into Tony Stark's shoes are quite memorable. Also, the banter between Peter and his classmates, especially with MJ, provides some of the film's most humorous and relatable moments. But the one where MJ's just like, "Yeah, I knew. I always knew."
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, I just love that line, and I love how Zendaya delivered it. You know, I did love to like. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of that. But either way, then let's go to the action scene. So the best action scene is closely tied with the best scene overall. The final confrontation between Mysterio in London is also the film's most impressive like action sequence as well.
Mhm.
The sequence is a showcase of Spider-Man's abilities as he uses his spider sense and intelligence to overcome mysterious illusions. The fight is a dynamic and visually creative, with Mysterio's drones creating a constantly shifting and deceptive environment. It's a high stakes battle that drives the film's narrative to its climax. Spider Man Far From Home blends superhero action and with coming of age elements, and its most memorable scenes, lines, and fights reflect that combination. So there you go. But either way, Byrne, how about we move on, and we ask our good pal Gemini, Genumini. Do you know Genumini?
Let's see if Gemini is willing to pick an underdog once,
I
just one
mean,
time tonight. One
we'll
time
see. I
today.
mean, you
Make this
know,
tourney exciting, Gemini. Pick a dog.
round two, fight! Okay, here we go. So I asked Gemini, I said, "Hello, Gemini, can you please tell us what movie you think it better? Spider Man Far From Home or Black Panther?" And here's what Gemini had to say. They said, "This is a really interesting comparison. Both Spider Man Far From Home and Black Panther are excellent MCU films, but they achieve their excellence in different ways." And they said, if I had to
Hmm.
choose which movie they think is better overall, they'd probably lean slightly towards Black Panther, our first upset in the tournament. And here's why: cultural impact and significance. Black Panther is a landmark film for its representation, its celebration of African culture, and its exploration of important themes like identity, colonialisms, and social justice. Its cultural impact is undeniable and goes beyond just being a superhero movie. Very true. It was a huge cultural moment. And then world building. Black Panther creates a rich and vibrant world in Wakanda. The film's attention to detail in its costume, set design, and culture is truly impressive and immersive. Also, very, very true. Then the
Couldn't agree
villain.
more.
Right? While both films have compelling villains, Killmonger and Black Panther is often considered one of the most complex and nuanced villains in the MCU. We were just talking about that. Very true. Adding depth and moral complexity to the story. So true. While Spider Man Far From Home is a fun and engaging film with great action and humor, it doesn't quite reach the same level of cultural significance of world building as Black Panther. However, Spider-Man Far From Home excels in, character development. It provides a complex, compelling arc for Peter Parker as he grapples with the legacy of Tony Stark. It features some truly spectacular visual effects, particularly with Mysterio's illusions. Ultimately, both films are fantastic additions to the MCU, and the better film depends on, what you value most in a movie. If you prioritize cultural impact and world building, Black Panther is a strong contender. If you're looking for a fun and engaging superhero adventure with a focus on character development and visual effects, Spider Man Far From Home delivers. Either way, it's Black Panther for Gemini, and Black Panther moves on to round two. So, ending the night, Burn. Moving on to the second round, where Avengers Endgame will be waiting. We have Avengers Infinity War, which took down the Incredible Hulk. Then we have Captain America Civil War, which took down Captain America the First Avenger. And then we have Black Panther, which upset Spider Man Far From Home. All right, man.
So,
Woo!
just thinking about this in a March Madness way, uh, currently moving to the second round is the 1 seed, the 2 seed, the 7 seed, and the 13 seed.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
fun. That's
That's
fun.
fun. That's
That's
fun.
fun.
That's good. That's
That's
good
fun
tourney.
right there.
That's good tourney.
It's got the makings for a pretty good tourney right there.
Yep. Love it. So, all right, Burn. Well, next week we'll be moving on. The matches we'll have next week, we're going to do Guardians of the Galaxy versus Thor the Dark World, and we're
Mm-hmm.
going to do Doctor Strange versus Ant Man. We're only going to do two next week, and then we'll keep it moving from there. But, man, these
Perfect.
are getting dicey, Daddy. Dicey. There's a
Well,
couple coming down the pike that I don't know what's what, Daddy. There's one I could see a huge upset on. Oh man, there's some I could see, but super excited for this. So for anyone listening, let us know what you think. Super excited we're getting into the MCU. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Burn, anything before we go?
No, man, I'm really excited to do this. I
Yeah,
obviously love these movies and I
love them.
love this culture, and I've seen them all a bunch of times, and I can't wait to have an excuse to go watch more of them again this week to get ready
Same,
for next
same, same,
week's
same.
extravaganza.
Super excited. All right, Burn. Well, this has been the first couple matches of the first round of the first ever MCU Infinity Saga tournament. In case you're wondering, though, you can find all our stuff and all our content and all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You also on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast. Join us on Twitter and TikTok at Working P Pod. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. And please like and subscribe, and we'll keep bringing you this sweet, sweet content. Thank you so much for listening. You are the best. Thanks. See ya.